Hi everybody, Mark Walters here with BigFanboy.com at the Dallas International Film Festival, and it is the last day of interviews, and I am very, very honored to have with me one of our Star Award recipients, the very lovely Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure to have you here. I know you weren't, this is your second trip to Dallas after Scott
Yes.
Pilgrim, and so it's great to have you back, and you've done so much since then. That's the funny thing. It's like it seems like that wasn't that long ago, but
It's crazy when I think about it. I think it was what, like 3-4 years ago now or something, which
yeah, I know.
is kind of insane. It's like, oh wow, time flies.
And one of the films we're going to be showing is Smashed, which I have to admit I haven't seen yet, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing
Cool.
it.
I hope you enjoy it.
I think it's going to be great. And I did want to talk about that because that was a film that when it came out there was so much talk about, you know, your performance and how this really was kind of a defining moment for you as far as showing people what you could, you know, really what you could do in the range that you had, you know, in playing that type of character. I know that was probably a very personally gratifying role for you as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it was such a challenging role to play. I mean, it really was the opportunity to just run the gamut of emotions and complexities, and was a really rare opportunity as an actor to just go in every direction in one film, which was incredibly exciting to me and something that I knew would not come around often. So it was great.
What kind of research went into that? Like when you were going in the planning stages, did you talk to a lot of addicts?
Yeah, I did. Started at the source, our co-writer Susan Burke, who is in recovery and has been for many years, and the script wasn't based on her life, but it was inspired by a lot of events in her life. So I talked a lot to her, and then from there I started going with her to AA meetings, and always different meetings in different parts of town and different types of people, and talked to everybody, and really kind of realized how much I related to all of them. Not really having to do with alcohol at all, but just sort of the emotions they were all going through, and things that had happened in their lives. And I realized how close I was to them, or to being just like them, and how Kate's story was the same as my story in a lot of ways. And that was a really great thing to discover.
Yeah, well, everybody kind of has that thing about, you know, like that certain thing that maybe it's a vice or
exactly
whatever, yeah.
There's always something unhealthy in your life that you can uncover and start going, oh, okay, maybe I should deal with this and figure out why
something
I do
I
this.
turn to get away from my problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then making the movie, was it kind of an emotional roller coaster at the same time when you're making the movie, trying to get into the head of that character?
Definitely. It was really cathartic to just kind of go to those places and then come out of it and be surrounded by people who are really fun and funny and just really lovely to be around. So it was an emotional roller coaster, but it was always a lot of fun at the end of the day, just to be surrounded by this group that I totally trusted and had an amazing time with.
Yeah. Now, obviously, I'm a nerd, so I love movies like Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
I was really, really happy that, you know, that film came out. I was a big fan of the comic books, you know, before it came out. When you play a role like that, I would imagine that you probably get a lot of people still that come up to you and, you know, say Ramona or whatever.
Right.
Why is your hair not pink or blue or whatever? How much fun is it to kind of sink your teeth into that kind of character where it's just sort of this larger than life?
Yeah.
It really is a comic book character in this every sense of the word.
It was so cool. You know, I love the comics as well, and you know, it was such a great cast and such an iconic character. But at the same time, she was so kind of real and relatable. She's sort of the perfect dream girl, but she's not at all, and that was kind of what I loved about her, is how imperfect she is and what a mess she is, but how he still put her on this pedestal even though she had a lot of problems of her own. So it was great to kind of be the manic pixie dream girl in a sense, but to also kind of have this other layer to her, which I thought was really interesting and fun to play with.
Was that character always sort of defined in the way that you presented it, which was sort of a very sort of deadpan?
Yeah.
Was it always kind of defined that way?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think when I first signed on to it, that was like the first thing Edgar said to me. He was like, just basically play yourself, but just really deadpan. and when we had the read through, he was like, it was great, just more deadpan. So that was definitely the main focus as far as the delivery of that character.
Yeah. I also enjoyed when you did Grindhouse and Death Proof. When you're working with a guy like Tarantino, how insane is this guy? I mean, he's just completely nuts and off his rocker, right?
Totally,
Yeah.
completely. But the most fun to be around and to work with. It was the most fun I've ever had on a set. It was like just going to a party all day, every day, and in between takes, he's playing music and people are dancing, and we'd have like certain chants that we'd shout out after we were done with takes and things, and it was just like a really high energy, just good time all the time.
Yeah. And most recently, we also saw you in the Thing, which
Right.
I don't want to say remake, it's a prequel, which I was a huge fan of John Carpenter's The Thing, and
Yeah.
I feel like you guys really captured the tone
Thanks.
and the feeling that Carpenter's The
Yeah.
Thing had. You know, was it a little bit nerve-wracking when you're coming into something that is so well known?
Definitely.
And the fandom is just so rabid.
Yeah, I think we all kind of knew we would be scrutinized, you
Yeah.
know, from the start. So I think in a way, I kind of knew that we weren't going to be able to win everybody. It's just sort of no matter what you do, there's going to be people who are going to be really mad that you're even going there. But everyone involved was such huge fans of John Carpenter's The Thing, and really wanted to kind of, you know, pay homage to that, but try and do something that works as a standalone feature as well. And I just really loved everyone involved, and I loved the character, which was something that was a rare opportunity for me to get to play this woman who's really strong and doesn't have to be really sexy at the same time to make up for being really strong. So that was one of the things that really drew me to the part.
There was a lot of comparisons to like Sigourney Weaver as Ripley
Right.
and things like that.
Yeah.
Was it fun to kind of be able to get into the mindset of the tough chick? You know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. Like I didn't have to wear makeup. I got to wear a coat the whole time. I didn't have to work out or diet. It was just like the best. I loved it.
Was it cold as hell though?
It's freezing. That was a drawback. But we shot it, like, we started out, it was freezing. By the end of it, it was burning hot in the summer by the time we finished. So we were all in these parkas, like sweating, like, oh my God, it's supposed to be freezing and we're dying of heat stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they intend for the ending to be somewhat ambiguous, kind of like the original Thing, to where you really don't know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was meant to be very similar to that version where it's sort of ambiguous but kind of depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we wanted it to be. Like you're pretty sure things aren't going to go well, but maybe there's like this shred of hope because you're not actually seeing that final, you know, moment of what happens.
Right. You have a couple films coming out this year as well. Like there's like I think I saw like 2 or 3 different films on the list.
Yeah, I've kind of just been having fun this past year and doing a lot of fun supporting parts with just people that I love. Like I'm in James, who directed Smashed, his next film, The Spectacular Now, which is a beautiful, beautiful teenage love story, and I have a supporting part in that. And this great comedy with Adam Scott and Amy Poehler and Jane Lynch and Richard Jenkins and all these great people. So yeah, it's been a fun year.
Well, now you've had a chance to play like the comic book heroine, and you've played the tough girl. I mean, is there a type of role that you want to do that maybe you haven't had a chance to do yet?
I think that I just kind of want to go, you know, sort of from Smashed and continue trying to find characters who are really real and richly complex and human, and as much as I can find that, then I'll be really happy.
Yeah, maybe like a romantic comedy or
Yeah,
something like
yeah, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
One of these days.
I don't know. It's, yeah, but I like seeing you as the tough chick. I totally bought into you being the tough chick. You know,
Well, thank you.
I wouldn't tangle with you.
that.
I don't
Right, I
think.
wouldn't
Yeah.
either. I wouldn't.
Yeah. Now, also coming here to Dallas and being part of the festival and everything, like we were just joking about before we started the interview, you know, a lot of times when you go out on press tours and stuff,
Yeah.
you don't really get a chance to kind of take a look at the city. But let's just talk about film festivals in general in terms of the thing behind film festivals and giving a lot of these aspiring young filmmakers a chance to get their work out there.
Yeah.
And it seems like film as a medium is changing so rapidly. Like we're seeing more opportunities now for filmmakers than ever before. Does it seem like the festival circuit is maybe that's where the future is for movies, you think?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I've spent sort of the past year going from festival to festival and meeting so many exciting artists and filmmakers and people who really do feel like the future of film, who are pushing boundaries and doing interesting things. And I think, you know, where the studios are at right now, they're kind of trying to figure things out of sort of, you know, what kind of movies are going to make money and what people are interested in. And I think there's sort of a new wave happening because I think people are looking for something deeper and more interesting and more than just sort of big CGI films, you know. And I think the film festivals provide that, those movies that are about just the human experience. And so I think that that's going to be trickling its way, hopefully, to more, you know, mass audience, and this is where that starts.
Yeah. Last question I want to ask you is in terms of like movies like Smashed and playing kind of those serious types of characters, how important do you think it is to incorporate real life problems in movies as opposed to, I mean, a lot of people look at movies as being sort of escapism and fantasy. But do you think that by telling stories that are relatable, like something like Smash, that it's more, maybe a little bit more meaningful as a film?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that you can do a sort of big, high concept film, but as long as you ground it in something that feels very real and emotionally connected, those are the kind of films that are going to last sort of through the ages, I think. Like when I look back at, you know, horror films and action films that have stayed around, it's because there's something at the core that you can relate to, something that it's saying that connects with you emotionally, like The Shining or Alien or something like that, where it's more than just effects and scares. It really feel emotionally impacted by that. So I think that whether it's a little indie film or a big high concept film, it has to have that if you want it to make more than just money in the opening weekend, but want it to stick around for the next 50 years. I think that's the key.
Yeah, very, very cool. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, thank you so much for being here and coming to Dallas. It's an honor to have you here, and I hope that you get a chance to
I know,
get
I
out
hope
and
so
see
too.
a little bit of Dallas.
Okay, 3 hours. I'm going
now.
3
hours. Let's go get some barbecue or something.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
you know, and we'll see her tomorrow. Smash is going to be showing at the Angelica. So if you see this, check it out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thanks.